Hello, listeners, and welcome to Fungos and Fastballs. In today's episode, we cover a Hall of Famer who was baseball's first celebrity, but not before we cover one of the great fights in MLB history with the 1984 Braves Padres beanball. But first, we've been throwing in an opening trivia question here and there lately. How many women have been enshrined in the National Baseball Hall of Fame? The answer in a bit. But first, we start with that great fight. The Bean Brawl. No, players were not arguing over whether Heinz or Bush's baked beans were better, but of course, over getting beaned, getting the ball thrown intentionally at some.
I thought the word was beam. You beam a ball at somebody.
Well, Brooke.
Yeah.
You're wearing, if you're watching on YouTube, Brooke's wearing her new Joliet Slammers cap.
Well, it's actually your cap, but unfortunately it did not fit your head, so I get to wear it now.
No, big head, big heart, as the old phrase goes.
Well, then what does that mean about me?
Oh, yeah. Oops, sorry.
So where's Juliet? Tell me why.
Wherefore art thou, Joliet? No, that's Romeo. It's Joliet in Illinois, the prison town. And so that's why you got that jailbird mascot, J.L. Bird, on the top. Great hat, great cap. He's brandishing his bat. I'm very jealous. I'll get one eventually. But back to the word bean. No, beam is a common mix-up, B-E-A-M. It's bean, B-E-A-N, unless you're actually deciding to hit someone with an actual beam. A side comment, using the old baseball lexicon again, the term for a pitcher who beans players, typically at a player's head, is called a head hunter. And though brushback pitches still occur, MLB rules and concerns for safety have made the headhunter pretty much a thing of the past. But back in the day, like the enforcer or goon in ice hockey, many teams had a pitcher that was ready to get revenge if one of their own players got hit or brushed back by a pitch. Don Drysdale, the Hall of Fame Dodger, was a classic headhunter, often choosing to bean a player rather than intentionally walk them. And he just might be a focus of an upcoming episode. Now, I want to point out, Brooke, that here at Fungos and Fastballs, we do not advocate Brannigans and fisticuffs in Major League Baseball.
We do not, or in any other sports. Personally, I have to fast forward through some of the fight scenes in the Rocky movies. And if we ever go to a restaurant and MMA is on the TV, I'm always put my back to that TV screen. I am not an enjoyer of fights in any way, shape, or form.
Well, that being said, man, watching this fight on YouTube just made me laugh because it's so ridiculous.
I certainly hope you put that word fight in quotes because it really was a bunch of guys pushing and shoving each other and then falling down on top of each other. There were a couple of punches going on there, but in general, it was pretty funny.
Well, after you listen to the full podcast, go check it out.
Definitely.
But we'll try and describe it. Let's go now with the Wayback Machine back to August 12th, 1984. Ooh, a wonderful game in Atlanta versus the Padres, perhaps contributing some of the antsiness of the day. The game was delayed by 90 minutes. Then on the first pitch of the game, Braves starter Pascual Perez hit second baseman Alan Wiggins. Why? Who knows why anybody does anything? It may have been because Wiggins the day before, rather than swinging at the ball, was trying to lay down a lot of bunts. And Perez, of course, not pitching in the day before, was yelling him at the dugout to swing the bat, perhaps a few expletives. Perez later told reporters that the ball just slipped. He wasn't trying to hit Wiggins at all.
Oh, yeah, slipped.
He says, quote, "The San Diego players got mad at me. I don't know why." Well, this was in the National League, so there was no designated hitter in 1984. So, of course, Perez, the pitcher, would indeed come up to bat. And all four times he came up to the plate, he would get thrown at, eventually getting hit on the fourth at bat. The first time, Padres' Ed Whitson threw at Perez. Perez actually started towards the mound, bat in hand, but the ump restrained him. Whitson in the fourth threw three straight inside fastballs close to Perez. Perez successfully evaded them, and both Whitson and Padres manager Dick Wilson got ejected. The next Padre pitcher, Greg Booker, threw at Perez again in the 6th. Then the ump threw him out and the acting manager out. The 4th time Perez came to the plate in the bottom of the 8th, Padres reliever Craig Leggett threw again at Perez, actually hit him this time. This led to a 3rd pitcher being ejected and a 3rd manager ejected. The Padres only had one acting manager left, Harry Dunlap. These ejections led to the dugouts clearing. A huge fight lasting 10 minutes evolved. Pascal Perez, sensing something, he retreated to the dugout. Chicken. But Padres infielder Champ Summers was having none of that, and he went after him. And then Summers, before he got to the dugout, was wrestled to the ground by Braves players. Then a fan jumped out at him. Then another fan poured drink on Summers. It's a show. Over on the side, another big fight was going on with Braves Gerald Perry, the Padres Bobby Brown. I guess that was his prerogative.
Like the song?
Like the song. Everybody's talking. No,
all right, come on.
More singing later. So those two, Champ Summers and Brave Rick Camp, were all ejected. Now everybody wanted in on this fight. In fact, Braves third baseman Bob Horner was not even playing that day. He had a broken hand. He was in the press box, but when he sensed tension going on and that a fight might occur, he actually went to the locker room to suit up so he could go on the field.
That is just crazy. Well, after we watched the video yesterday, we got an alert. Rest in peace, Bob Horner.
Yeah. Horner passed away just a day before our taping on May 26th. Yeah, no, very sad for Braves Nation there. Well, somehow after all this, the game resumed. But in the top of the ninth, Greg Nettles came to bat for the Padres. The former Yankee had hit a home run 2 innings earlier. And Nettles actually has come up a few times in our podcast, the Thurman Munson one, the Ken Griffey episode.
He's trouble.
He's trouble. I loved him as a kid. I really did. But he was a tough guy, no stranger to fighting. My best story is from Bill Spaceman Lee, who carries a baseball card of Nettles in his wallet dating back from that fight he had with Nettles back in 1976, where Spaceman injured his left shoulder. You want to guess why Lee carries Greg Nettles' baseball card in his wallet, Brooke?
I assume the wallet's in his back pocket.
Yes.
So he can kiss his butt every day.
And that's not what Lee said, but yes, that is the idea of it. Well, with the game restored in the top of the ninth, Braves reliever Donnie Moore hits Nettles with a pitch, causing yet another fight. Nettles went after the pitcher. He was wrestled to the ground by Braves players Rick Mahler and Chris Chambliss. Then Padres pitcher Goose Gossage went after Donnie Moore. He was, then Joe Torre, the manager of the Braves, gets in on the action. So you have 3 former Yankees teammates, Nettles, Gossage, Chambliss, all involved, plus the great future Yankees manager, Torre. Almost all these guys, I think, got ejected. Great Gossage, Nettles, Torre. Neither team had their original manager now. Let me take a break to note, though, this was a pretty good game as far as hair went.
And mustaches.
Yes. Some fine mustaches.
Yes.
Nettles and Bob Horner had permed hair at this time. It was the early 80s. Goose Gossage's mustache is always great. Plus, some bald and is beautiful styles that I appreciate, with Torre losing in the back and Ed Whitson losing it in the front.
I'm glad you can commiserate with them.
Yeah, I won't take my cap off.
I think they know by now.
You can
That's
see
right.
why
On
I'd
video, they'd
commiserate.
never know.
They'd never
without
know.
video.
So all total, 17 ejections in this game, 12 of Padres, 5 Braves. It wasn't over. Braves fans started throwing things at Padres players, in the dugout. Padres infielder Kurt Pivacqua gets on the dugout, threatening fans with a bat. 5 fans are arrested.
Security had their job cut out for them that night.
They did. So one of the great images, if you watch this game, is the angry, mustachioed, and for unclear reason, shirtless Ed Whitson in the dugout yelling at unruly fans.
He tries to look like this tough guy. He doesn't have his shirt on. His eyes are bulging of frustration. Yet the receding hairline, it slightly diminishes the vibe on him.
What are you talking about? Bald men can be plenty tough.
I'll post a picture.
Somehow, again, the game started up again with all the players ordered to stay in their respective clubhouses unless they were playing. You could be called out if you were needed, but you're staying in your clubhouse. The Padres would wind up winning 5-3 after scoring 2 at the ninth. A ton of folks fine. 7 were suspended for various lengths. The crew chief debated forfeiting the game, which, as we've talked about in the past episode, it just doesn't happen in our Disco Demolition episode too often. But at that point, the Braves, when he considered this, were up. And it really seemed like, since Atlanta kind of instigated this, that it would be unfair to award Atlanta the win with a forfeit. All in all, as I said, 17 people ejected, but neither Pascual Perez or Wiggins, the 2 players at the beginning involved in the initial beaning back in inning 1. Just remember, kids, fighting is wrong, okay? Okay? I'm trying to channel my best Mr. Mackey from South Park.
Let's start this episode.
I don't think I'm doing a good job. So let's start, Hello and welcome to Fungos and Fastballs, the podcast of baseball history and trivia. I'm your host, Jerry Dines. Let's jump into today's episode. We now turn to one of the most popular baseball players of his era, Michael Joseph Kelly, or as he's better known as, King Kelly. Now, Kelly was the biggest draw as far as baseball players in the late 1800s. He was so popular that when the Chicago White Stockings sold his contract to Boston, fans refused to go to Chicago's home opener. And it was only when Boston came to town to play Chicago, then fans flocked back to see him, even though he was on the opposing team. He wrote baseball's first autobiography. He had a hit song written about him, and he may have been the inspiration for the poem Casey at the Bat. But this popularity was founded on great playing. He was a fantastic hitter, broke record stealing bases at the time, and popularized strategies and practices that are still used today.
I think you about covered it all. Thanks, listeners. Let's head back to the locker room.
Are we done? No, there's still more to talk about. Come on.
Really? Because doing research on social posts, there were 3 images of them.
You only had 3 images, huh? They're all probably drawing from cigarette packs or something like that.
Yeah, they are. One of them is.
Well, let's talk more anyway. So Kelly was born in Troy, New York in 1857, the son of Irish immigrants. He probably learned baseball while living in Washington, D.C., while his father was off fighting the American Civil War. After the war, Kelly's parents moved to Paterson, New Jersey, but in his teens, they would both pass away. Even as a teen, though, he played on amateur baseball teams, made his big league debut in 1878 when he was signed on by the Cincinnati Reds, or Red Stockings, which, it should be noted, is neither the current Reds team or the current Red Sox team, but one of the original 8 National League teams we learned about in episode 12. Now, the Red Stockings would fold in 1879, and Kelly would change to the Chicago White Stockings. So he had to change his stockings.
He could just bleach them.
Bleach them, that's right. Well, the White Stockings were, again, another one of those 8 original NL teams. But as listeners know, they are still around as the current-day Chicago Cubs. Kelly helped lead the White Stockings to 5 pennants in 7 years between 1880 and 1886. With Chicago, Kelly led the league in runs his last 3 years there, winning batting titles 2 of those years. Over his career, he would hit over 308 times. He played all over, typically outfield or catcher. He was actually a really tremendous defensive catcher and was one of the first to use a glove and chest protector as a catcher. He's credited with a number of strategies and tactics. Now, I will point out, Brooke, there is a fair probability that Kelly really didn't invent these strategies, but he popularized them, or maybe they were attributed to them because he was a celebrity. For example, as a catcher, he started backing up the first baseman, like in certain situations, even today, when an infield grounder is hit and there's no runners on. Now, I will say he probably was the originator of a hook slide, which has elements you see today, which is a feet-first slide, on one side of the base, where to avoid being tagged, you slide wide, catching the bag from the outside with your hand. This was copied by other ball players. He also was probably one of the earliest players to steal third base and even home with regularity. He popularized the hit and run play, where a base runner starts stealing second the moment the pitcher throws and the batter is committed to swinging. The steal causes the infielders to move to the bag and shift, opening up kind of a gap in the defense for the hit. It also avoids the double play because the guy on first has got such a huge head start that it's going to avoid the catcher's throw. Kelly is often credited and invented an early form of the infield shift, where the fielders would move to different positions based on the batter. And in the 19th century, fouls were not counted as strikes. So Kelly was one of those batters that excelled at just continually fouling pitches until he waited for his pitch.
And I read he was not above bending the rules at times. He would keep an extra ball inside of his jersey. And at night when it got dark, because again, no lights at that time, if he missed the catch or the ball went over the fence, he'd pull it out of his jersey and put it in his mitt and hold it up like he caught the ball.
I got it.
He's a trickster.
I mean, in fact, a lot of rules were created because of practices that Kellys and others would bend in those days, like cutting bases. There was only one ump officially watching the game until 1898, a little before they tried some two out. But two were made official in 1898. So really, it was easier to run even across the diamond or skip bases when you were running from one bases to the other.
At times, when he was playing catcher and someone was running home, he'd put the catcher's mask on top of home plate and then stand a little off to the side. So when they were coming home, they would run towards him, not the plate, and they'd miss the plate altogether.
I also liked a questionable but hilarious story when he's in the dugout and the opposing team's batter hits a high foul ball.
Yeah.
Kelly's catcher couldn't get to it. So all of a sudden, Kelly jumps off the bench and announces, "Kelly, now catching Kelly," and catches the ball as an out, confusing the ump. Well, fans love Kelly's playing style. He was a strapping guy, nearly 6 feet tall, red hair, good looking, though it's hard to tell behind those big, old mustaches. Maybe I should grow one. Hide some of the weaknesses in my face.
No, let's not do that. But he is a handsome man.
Apparently. Guy. Although you only found 3 photos. So
I know. Well, they were good. Look on our Instagram.
Well, he became tremendously popular in Chicago and definitely liked to live large. Instead of getting a house for himself, he put himself up in the Palmer Hotel in Chicago, which then was, pretty big deal. It was the first hotel with electric light bulbs and telephones in the guest room. Trivia alert. They're not baseball trivia. Although it closed briefly in COVID, the Palmer Hotel is still going and claims it's the oldest continuously operating hotel in North America. Yeah, I stayed in the Palmer House Brook, actually, and, believe it or not, they still have light bulbs and telephones in their room.
As opposed to what?
I'm just saying,
a wall of LED screens.
Things haven't changed.
Well, thank goodness for that.
Yes. After the 1886 season in Chicago, King Kelly balked at returning to the club. In response, Albert Spaulding, president and part owner of the White Stockings, who we mentioned in the Origins of the National League episode, he sold him to Boston for a then record $10,000. Spaulding was quoted by Chicago writer Happy Palmer saying, quote, "If Mr. Mike Kelly does not sign a contract with Chicago pretty damn quick, he will have cause to regret it." Sounded like he got his dander up. And also, this quote, "If he keeps on in this spirit, I will make him eat hay with his horse before he is much older."
Well, I'm sad that term's gone away.
I know.
Eating hay with your horse.
Pretty strong words there, sir.
Oof.
Well, after this sale, Kelly was known as the $10,000 Beauty or $10,000 Kelly. But continued success in Boston was how he got his King moniker. Both in 1887 and in 1889, he scored 120 runs, more than 120 runs. And he continued to draw crowds, though no pennants, when Kelly played in Boston as a bean eater.
So, bean eater. So we're going from the bean brawl to bean eaters. Did you plan this? Is this episode the bean episode?
Could be.
I didn't know if that was planned. Well, can we pause a minute? Because bean eaters that's a new word to me. I've never heard of a team called this. Going to help out some of those listeners out there.
Yeah,
Trivia.
Brooke's interesting because she's not a big fan of beans.
No, I don't like any beans. But trivia, beans were big and early in the country because they were easy to grow and they were cheap. And in the 1880s, New England became known for cooking white beans with some pork and molasses. And we know that today as baked beans. And since Boston was the major city at the time, they became known as Boston baked beans. And the city of Boston became known as Beantown. And those who lived there were called bean eaters. So that's where the term comes from. In 1883, with the help of other cities' newspapers, the team was nicknamed the Bean Eaters, and it stuck, although not out of love. It was, Plus, the Boston Chowderheads just didn't have the same cachet as the Bean Eaters did, and the B matched their uniform. The name stuck for 25 years until 1907. So there you have it, some trivia.
Yeah, good trivia. And of course, now they're still the Atlanta Braves. They're still there.
Yeah, I didn't have time to go through that whole little map.
Now, are you done?
Oh, another trivia. Also, Massachusetts is the only state with an official bean, the baked navy bean.
Now, you're going away from the baseball trivia aspect.
Bring me back, Jerry.
Show.
Bring me back. I'm done.
Where was it? Yes. In 1891, King Kelly would captain a new club in the American Association. Now, that was a rival league in the 1880s, no longer around, of course, to the National League. They were once called the Beer and Whiskey League compared to the Puritanical National League. The team actually was known as Kelly's Killers, but really, folded by mid-August. And Kelly returned to the Bean Eaters after that. A year later, he went to the New York Giants. He only played 20 games there and then unfortunately ended his career.
It's reported that he played every position, even in pitcher, over his career.
Now, sadly, Kelly did not last long after his baseball career. His former teammate and manager for the White Stockings, Cap Anson, who we really should do an episode on, Brooke.
I think he's on the list.
He once said of Kelly that Kelly had a host of friends, but only one enemy, that one being himself. With big living and hard living, especially alcohol, Kelly died at age 36 of pneumonia in 1894, less than a year after his last game. Now, reportedly, it did happen after giving up his coat to another passenger on a boat when sailing from New York to Boston. So some generosity there. With very little money left to his name, a benefit had to be held for his widow after he died. But when he died, they had an open casket, and 7,000 people actually passed by his casket. He was that popular. His wife, in an interview years later, called Kelly, quote, just an overgrown kid. But let's look at his stats, celebrate his baseball career. Over his career, he had 1,357 runs, 950 RBIs, and a .308 lifetime batting average. His stolen base records, though back then those kind of records were often incomplete, they remain impressive. He had 5 straight seasons of 50 or more stolen bases, including 84 in 1887. Now, in the 19th century, stolen base stats are higher than today, unless you're players like Rickey Henderson or Vince Coleman. But by comparison, last year's stolen base leader, Jose Caballero of the Rays and Yankees, led the league with 49. So again, pretty impressive on the base paths. Kelly was inducted in the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1945.
So he was really an impressive player on the field and off the field with a sense of humor. And I think he could maybe sing and dance too, Jerry?
Well, let's talk about his popularity outside the game. It extended outside the diamond into music, literature, and the stage. Some fun facts. You mentioned the crowd chanting Slide, Kelly, Slide. The perhaps America's first pop hit, released by Thomas Edison's label, Slide, Kelly, Slide, in 1889, was a song. Prior to that, cylinders, which were the recorded medium, were more highbrow, opera, patriotic brass bands. But Slide, Kelly, Slide became a popular hit. It was written by John W. Kelly, coincidentally, but no relation. And, some of it is slide, Kelly, slide. Your running is a disgrace. Slide, Kelly, slide. Stay there and hold your base. I'm not doing a good job.
No, well, we'll tolerate it. It sounds like this song from the 70s. I think it's the 70s. Fly, Robin, Fly.
I think I could sing that better. Fly, Robin, fly.
All right, stop. I'm going to mute you.
Uh-oh, to the sky.
That's a high note there. And these are ladies singing that. Let's wrap this episode up.
Well, a few more things. Kelly was the first ball player to write, in quotes, an autobiography called Play Ball, Stories of the Ball Field. If you went to saloons in Boston, hanging up on the wall, you could often see prints of Kelly sliding it to second. But he would also appear, as you alluded to before, on stage in vaudeville, singing poorly fitted clothes as a joke, and recited the poem Casey at the Bat, which also, that should get a first pitch. Now, the 1888 poem Casey the Bat, there is debate whether Ernest Lawrence Thayer wrote the poem with Kelly in mind. Casey was an Irish player in the poem, and Kelly was certainly the biggest and most famous Irish player of his day. But I think Thayer kind of denied it. He was upset because Kelly would get on the vaudeville stage and sometimes claim to have written the poem. Perhaps a little alcohol was involved in his braggery there, braggadocio. No. Kelly may have been one of the first players that fans would actually hunt out for his autograph, which probably set off a domino effect to $500 signed baseballs today.
500? That's what you think they start at? No, I was looking for a Father's Day gift for a Thurman Munson ball for you. And let's just say that's a 10,000 and up.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Well, I didn't get it.
I'm worth 10,000, right?
Oh, you are.
Oh.
But we like to eat dinner,
Listeners,
too.
Stay tuned to what my Father's Day gift will wind up being, not the baseball. Well, I'll absolve Kelly because I suppose the overpriced baseball autograph market would have eventually happened anyway. But this was an interesting look inside a player from way back who was perhaps the biggest star of his day, and through his playing and his celebrity influenced how the game was played and, the beginning of pro baseball players becoming household names. Well, before we go, let's get back to that trivia question about how many women are in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Well, as you might have guessed, not many. Women have been involved in the game throughout the years, playing baseball in World War II in the Negro League teams. Just last year, Jen Powell was the first MLB umpire. And Kim Ng was MLB's first team general manager in 2020. But those are kind of recent. And as you might guess, again, not many. In fact, only one woman is represented in the Hall of Fame. That would be Effa Manley. She was co-owner and business manager of the Negro League's Newark Eagles from 1935 to 1948. And Effa's an interesting story of herself. Don't be surprised if she appears in a first pitch one of these days. Well, again, great episode. Thanks always to my producer, Brooke.
You're welcome.
And shout out especially to Diane, who we were talking to the other day outside the Tasty Freeze. I love their hot dogs there. We're always happy you're listening. I hope you'll keep listening. Or, hey, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to us or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Heading back to the locker room, this is Jerry Dines and Fungos and Fastballs.